Good morning, and thank you so much for your attendance today. But before I begin, I just want to say thank you to all the partners that took part in this investigation. So with us today, we have Deputy Commissioner Burnham that's here from OPP. We've got Superintendent Bond and Inspector Saliba from Peel Regional Police, but there are many other agencies that were working with us as well. Now, as I stated yesterday, we kicked in 43 doors. This is a very big and lengthy investigation. This investigation had many tentacles to it. Inspector Bott from the Organized Crime Enforcement Unit will come up, and he will give the details as to the type of intensity this investigation had. But one of the things that I want to mention is that this particular takedown is not an indication of this is all we do. Each and every day, I have officers that are devoted to work specifically to reduce the gunplay in the city, to specifically do investigations on street gangs. So it's not like we devote all our assets to one investigation. It is a multitude of officers that are on this on a day-to-day basis to do their best to try to keep the city safe. And once again, this is such a strong testament of the importance of partnerships. Policing in general has learned how to work together. And when we work together, we get to have amazing conclusions like we had today. So to the men and women from all of the agencies that had an active part in this investigation, we all did it together. It was not done in silos. And by working with that information process together, we were able to have some successful outcomes. So right now what I'm going to do is I'm going to introduce Inspector Brian Bott, and then I'll be available for some questions afterwards, and so will he.
Thank you, Chief, and good morning. First, I'd like to start by saying that the Toronto Police Service is committed to public safety and undertakes as one of its service priorities public safety and maintain safe communities and neighborhoods. Part of the responsibility lies with myself at the Organized Crime Enforcement Unit, and it's addressed by these intelligence-led investigations. Project Sizzle commenced as a criminal organization investigation into a gang identified as HOK, or Heart of a King. The Joint Force investigation commenced in January of this year, and the focus was the target of the gang, which is currently incarcerated. This gang, through intelligence information, we know had a high propensity for violence, and then were involved, we believe, in several homicides within the City of Toronto. The project was led by the Toronto Police Service, more specifically the Firearms Enforcement Unit and the Major Project Section of the Gun and Gang Task Force, with support from the OPP and Peel Regional Police. Thank you. I'd also like to acknowledge the support we received from the Montreal Police Service during this investigation. Internally, the project investigators worked closely with the Integrated Gun and Gang Task Force street teams, the Homicide Squad, the Major Crime Task Force, Financial Crimes Unit, Sex Crimes Unit, Intelligence Services, and 12 Division. By way of background, I can advise that HOK criminal organization evolved from a well-known street gang in Nova Scotia known as North Preston's Finest. This criminal organization was most active in the downtown core of Toronto, with most of their criminal activities centered around adult entertainment establishments and local bars. We allege the leader of HOK, of the organization of HOK, is Jahmal Richardson, who's pictured to the right sitting on top of that Bentley. His alias is Bam or Bambino. And at the front man, he's the front man for the rap crew that promotes their criminal lifestyle. Based on intelligence information we received, we believe this gang was involved in and responsible for several crimes of violence, including, but not limited to, homicides, shootings, firearms trafficking, and firearms possession. Most notably, due to the combined efforts of the investigators of Project Sizzle and the TPS Homicide Squad, the following members of HOK are currently incarcerated and facing allegations of murder. Kyle Sparks McKinnon was arrested on January 31st, the beginning of this project, in relation to a double homicide that took place on Spadina Avenue in the City of Toronto. The deceased in that murder are David Eminis and Quinn Taylor. There was also 3 innocent victims shot that day on Spadina Avenue: Stuart Douglas, Earl McLean, and Jethro Collado. The second homicide which these members are incarcerated for include Jahmal Richardson, the person pictured to my right, Kyle Sparks McKinnon, Mitchell Manette, Denzel Desmond, who were all arrested early May as a result of a combined effort arrested for the murder of Charles Shillingford, which was homicide 41 for 15, which I believe Staff Inspector McLean released earlier this month.
This is 33-year-old Jahmal Richardson, an alleged gang leader and accused murderer. And this is him behind bars, enjoying surf and turf and hamming it up for the camera, iPhone in hand.
I'm Christina Howard, and that photo was found on yet another inmate's cell phone last March. Now, we first showed you this photo last November, but we couldn't identify Richardson or his alleged crimes because of a publication ban. But today, the jury in his trial was sequestered and the publication ban lifted, and now we can paint a more complete picture.
Richardson of Oakville is allegedly the leader of Heart of a King, a gang with roots in Halifax that's made its way to Toronto. He was arrested in June 2016 after a series of raids that police claim eradicated the violent gang. Richardson faced more than a dozen offenses, including 2 counts of second-degree murder, attempted murder with a firearm, and 2 counts of aggravated assault, for which he stood trial this week. The Crown alleges that on January 31st of 2016, Richardson and his half-brother, Kyle Sparks McKinnon, shot and killed 2 strangers and injured 3 others outside a Chinese restaurant on Spadina Avenue. According to witness testimony, one of the victims asked the accused for directions and then was shot. Both Richardson and McKinnon have pleaded not guilty. But questions as to how Richardson was able to acquire the haute cuisine have gone unanswered.
That's an inside job, obviously, that someone with the ability to go through security unstopped is delivering that surf and turf and the big bottle of Barks root beer and cell phone to that individual.